Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The U.S. Association of Former Members of Congress is thrilled to welcome you tonight as we honor this year's Statesmanship Awards recipients. If you would please turn your attention to the stage and welcome FMC's CEO, Pete Weichlein.
Good evening. If you could just quiet down for a couple of minutes. Thank you so much. Good evening. Thank you. And there's still some seats up front. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Good evening, and on behalf of FMC, welcome to our 28th Annual Statesmanship Awards celebration. Really appreciate all of you coming. In just a moment, you'll hear from the association's president, Barbara Comstock, as well as our outstanding group of honorees. But before I invite Barbara to the stage, I did want to say two thank yous. The first one to my outstanding staff, putting this great event together. Yes, thank you. Appreciate it. And the second to the sponsors here in the room. Most of you aren't just sponsors tonight, but you support us throughout the year. And without you, our work wouldn't be possible. Our mission wouldn't be possible. So I can't thank you enough for supporting FMC. Because of you, just last year we connected with over 10,000 students as part of the Congress to Campus program. We sent bipartisan groups of current members, former members, congressional staff to meet with their peers overseas in Germany, Korea, Japan, just to name a few. And most importantly, we had former members connect with the next generation of public servants, congressional staff, future congressional staff, young leaders, all on a bipartisan basis. Former members of Congress donated almost 7,000 hours to the association pro bono for our work. Yes, thank you. And most importantly, everything we do is on a bipartisan basis. So it's former members, current congressional staff working together across the aisle, Democrats and Republicans working together for the good of the country and to strengthen democracy both in the United States and abroad. And without your support, none of this work would be possible. And certainly our honorees exemplify and live that spirit and that commitment. So we're really thrilled to have you here. Thank you so much. And with that, allow me to introduce FMC's president, Barbara Comstock, to make remarks and award our Statesmanship Awards 2025. Thank you.
Hey, Barbara.
Good evening. To be with you. And I want to add my appreciation to everyone in the staff of FMC who do always work so hard to put everything together so we don't have to do all of this. So thank you. And it does come together so beautifully in this beautiful location. And we know it takes so much work to make it come off without a hitch. And we really want to thank again our team. So thank you all so much for all the work they do all year. And I also want to acknowledge my former member colleagues who volunteer their time in all those different roles that you heard Pete mention. They are, of course, many directors serving on the FMC board also, as well as Donna Edwards, who is our president-elect, and Dennis Ross, Loretta Sanchez, and LF Payne, who make up our executive committee. So I'd ask you also to please give them and FMC's board of directors also a round of applause as well. Now this evening is about paying tributes to statesmanship. And we know that is a little bit rare these days. So it does come in many shapes. And for FMC and its membership, statesmanship and bipartisanship are the driving force behind everything we do. We are the premier nonprofit focused on Congress, and our work boils down to creating civil and civic dialogue between Republicans and Democrats, between those who have served and those currently serving, between former public servants and the next generation of public servants, and between the U.S. Congress and parliaments across the world. And tonight, for the 28th year in a row, we are paying tribute to current members who base their work on the same values and who are prioritizing solutions over hyperpartisanship. So, let me now invite representatives. We're going to have Young Kim and Ed Case. We're going to have our House members first. So if you can join us first from the House. Now, Representative Young Kim from California was first elected to Congress in 2020. That year, she and Michelle Steele became the first Korean American women elected to the U.S. Congress. Her long... And as you know, we very much appreciate our long-standing relationship with the Korean community and the support we have there. And her long public service includes the California State Assembly, as well as working as a community liaison for then Congressman Ed Royce, who's also a member. She was born in South Korea, and FMC's Congressional Study Group on Korea has been tremendously enriched by her leadership as one of our co-chairs. She has a long history of seeking consensus across the political aisle, which has made her a partner to our Democratic honoree, Ed Case, on many occasions. For example, when they co-sponsored legislation to protect America's allies from economic coercion by China or Russia. Now, Congressman Ed Case has the rare distinction of being both a current member and a former member. You're a glutton.
I'll be a former member again.
A glutton for punishment. He first represented Hawaii from 2002 until 2007, got a taste of life after Congress, and nonetheless decided to run again, being elected to represent Hawaii's 1st District in 2018 again. He's a leader on issues ranging from education to environmental protection and brings his collaborative and collegial approach to the often difficult debates as part of the House Appropriations Committee. Young Kim and Ed Case exemplify a pragmatic and productive approach to legislating that FMC considers essential to the nation's success, and we therefore are thrilled to recognize them both with the 2025 House Statesmanship Award, and we'd love for both of you to share some remarks. And I invite Congresswoman Kim to now first do so. Out of your way.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here and showing your support for the former members of Congress and this great organization that really helps members, current and former, to be able to continue to serve our country in a very, very bipartisan way. And tonight, I'm especially honored to be recognized as one of the House members for this 2025 Statesman Award. I first want to thank all the sponsors, the corporate sponsors, the individuals that are represented here, because you are the reason why FMC's success is possible. Thank you. Give yourselves a big round of applause. Pete didn't tell me to say that, but I really see the benefit of all of us working together. So let me thank FMC for hosting tonight's event and for your work for creating opportunities for bipartisan collaboration here at home and abroad. You know, I've been really grateful for your partnership, and I'm really honored to be here in this capacity. 50 years ago, when my family decided to bring all of us to the United States and immigrate, I was a young girl, not even a teenager. I became a teenager after I came to the United States, living on the small island, the territory of the United States, Guam, and then I went to Hawaii, which is why when my colleague Ed Case kept reminding me that Hawaii and United States, we are Pacific Islands, so don't forget that. I always remember that. Before I say a few more words, I do want to congratulate my, fellow honorees, Senator Booker, Senator Young. Somebody joked this afternoon because this is a twice in a day. What a lucky girl I am. Somebody said, we were riding in the elevator together and said, if you marry Senator Young, your name will be Young. I said, don't worry, I'm already forever young. I truly believe bipartisanship drives results. And now more than ever, we need to collaborate across the aisle to deliver solutions, to tackle those complex challenges from economic growth to national security. In addition to my work as chairwoman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee's Subcommittee on East Asia and the Pacific, I also serve on the Select Committee on CCP, and this is what I'm most proud of, serving as co-chair of the Congressional Study Group on Korea. And I believe my co-chair, Ami Bera, is here, and he's done a tremendous job leading this Congressional Study Group on Korea until I joined him 4 years ago when I came here. And I think I'm learning a lot from my co-chair, but we enjoy leading a delegation in a bipartisan way to overseas. So in these capacities, working across the aisle, I've had the opportunity to represent United States with bipartisan colleagues, on congressional delegation trips. Many of those trips, obviously, to Korea, both on the committees, CODEL, as well as Congressional Study Group's trip to Korea, sponsored by FMC. And on these trips, we always say that we are not traveling as Republicans or Democrats, but as representatives of our nation, called the United States of America, because we travel as a united delegation. And with that lens, we often end up becoming good friends. During the trip, and especially after we come back, we've been able to work on bipartisan legislation when we come home. We build friendship, we build relationship, and so oftentimes we come back, and like my co-honoree today from the House, Congressman Case and I, we worked on many of the bipartisan work together. And that's the beauty of traveling together overseas. And I encourage anyone who hasn't done it, why not? Go on these trips. When FMC invites you, never say never, because you're going to be in quite a trip, right, in your lifetime. So while I always stay true to my principles, I believe in the importance of finding common ground to get things done and move this country forward, which is exactly what we're doing right now at this moment. After I speak and accept the award, I'm not going to go away without that. I'm going to get back on the Capitol Hill, and I will be meeting with the leadership to get this one big, beautiful budget done to get our country moving forward. And that's how I've been able to get things done. Whether my party is in the majority or in the minority, we work across the aisle to deliver for the Americans, not just for our constituents. So I'll work with anyone who wants to work with me. I know many of my Democratic colleagues are here, and my dear friend, Kathy Monning, I love you to death, and I miss you, so if you want to come back, you got my support. So we're going to be working together, continue to work in a bipartisan way, reach across the aisle, and I'm going to continue to enter the House chamber from the Democratic side, so I can shake hands with my Democratic friends to continue that relationship and friendship. And, I hope we can continue to be a voice of reason and common sense. So I want to thank you again for this Statesmanship Award and for all that you do to foster our bipartisan collaboration in Congress. Thank you so much for being here to support us, past, present, and like my friend Ed, former and current. Thank you again. It's really an honor to be here.
I'll give you my get a picture?
Don't give this to me.
All right.
I'll hold it for you. But we need to let you speak.
Oh, you want me to
Yeah.
go up? Good evening, and since I'm from Hawaii, aloha. Like Young Kim, I just so deeply appreciate this incredible award, and in all honesty, I'm a little embarrassed to accept it because I just think that there are so many deserving people in Congress that could just as easily have gotten this. And because I look around the room and I think about your past awardees, and so many of them were my mentors, people that I looked up to and still look up to for the principles of the former members of Congress. And I'm really, really honored to share this with my colleagues, Senators Booker, Young, thank you so much. And of course, Representative Kim, as you leave for that other side of the aisle, for your partnership. She always gets embarrassed when I say this, but she said it herself. She's actually a product of Hawaii, spent her teenage years, graduated from high school in Hawaii. I think she doesn't like me to say that because somehow it's going to take away from California, but that's cool. And so you have really two products of Hawaii here tonight, and so I think maybe there's something in the water out there that lends itself to some of what we're all doing here. And really, a really special mahalo to the former members of Congress for all that you do to keep the flame of representative democracy alive, in this country and throughout this world. Incredible work. And as has already been pointed out, I have a somewhat checkered relationship with the former members of Congress. I actually had to write it down because it got so confusing. When I was a member the first time, 2002 to 2007, I didn't want to be a former member of Congress. Later on, I became a former member of Congress, but I didn't want to be a former member of Congress then. After I got over all of that and settled back into my other life, I welcomed the opportunity to be a former member of Congress, participated in the programs, and really enjoyed myself until a former member of Congress, a member of this association, talked me into running for office again. Now I'm back in office and I'm not ready to be a former member of Congress again. So if you can sort all of that out, let me know at some point. Some say that statesmanship is a lost art. Some say that statesmanship is outdated, that it doesn't matter anymore, that in this day of incredible polarization and division and really government by combat, there's no place for statesmanship, and we reject that. We reject that. We have to reject that, and we do reject that. And we do that because we know that the only real way forward for this country, the only real way forward for this country is the art of governing for pragmatic and practical solutions, to seek consensus where we can, and where we can't, to allow the institutions of representative democracy to guide us in our divisions, our discussions, and our disagreements, and our decisions. That's what representative democracy is. And representative democracy is hard work. Polarization and division is much easier, to be honest. All you have to do is be against everything. Representative democracy is something different. We carry that flame here, and that flame has to be carried consciously every single day, and it has to be projected out around our country and around our world. And I am very, very honored to receive this award for many who believe in what I just said, and I'm very, very honored to do the good work with all of you going forward. Mahalo.
Okay, now let me invite our senators, Booker and Young, who have worked together on issues such as empowering Americans to save for emergencies, or they've worked together on the Foreign Relations Committee to also join me here on stage. Thank you, gentlemen. Now, Senator Todd Young has been in Congress for over a decade, first representing Indiana's 9th District in the House of Representatives, where I was privileged to be able to work with him. And while we were saddened to see him move over to the Senate, we know he's done a wonderful job there. And he is a graduate of the Naval Academy, and he served his country in uniform as a U.S. Marine. And then he also studied business and economics in Europe, earned his MBA from the University of Chicago, and his JD from Indiana University. These guys are really underachievers. In the Senate, he has built a reputation for bipartisanship and bills such as the CHIPS Act, his work on strengthening the bipartisan infrastructure bill, and his leadership in supporting and rebuilding Ukraine, which so many of us here last year worked on and we so appreciate. And often that bipartisan work was in partnership with our Democratic honoree, Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey. Senator Booker was sworn in as New Jersey's first African-American senator in 2013, and before coming to Capitol Hill, he was mayor of Newark from 2006 to 13. He is a Rhodes Scholar, attended Yale Law School, holds both a BA and a master's degree from Stanford, see another underachiever here, where he also, in all of his spare time, played Division I football as a tight end. He's a leader in Senate issues ranging from criminal justice reform to creating equal opportunities for underserved communities in New Jersey and across the country. And he just recently did break that record for, what was that? Yes. Yes, that was a big record. And we don't mind, we can filibuster a little here tonight after breaking that big record. So we are thrilled to hear from both of our honorees here tonight, starting with Senator Young.
Well, thank you, Barbara. Thank you, FMC. It is a privilege to be with all of you. Certainly a privilege to receive this award. I want to offer my congratulations to the other awardees. And to be up here with Cory Booker, I have to tell you, we ought to do something to celebrate the occasion. How about I deliver the longest speech in the history of FMC? What do you say? Okay, no, I'll put you. So listen, when I think about bipartisanship, my mind goes back to an amazing Hoosier who is no longer with us. You could muster up a lot of names. Maybe it would be Dick Lugar. Perhaps it would be Birch Bayh. But I'm going to go way back to Wendell Willkie. On the evening of November 11th, 1940, Wendell Willkie addressed Americans over the radio. Now, days before, he had lost the presidency to FDR. Throughout that campaign, Willkie had withering attacks against FDR, and they were grounded in conviction. This former executive and corporate attorney viewed some of the initiatives by the FDR campaign as encroachments by the federal government into American industry and American life. But in this 1940 post-election address to the nation, Willkie waved away any bitterness, and he urged his followers to do the same. He pledged his support for Franklin Roosevelt. He said, "He is my president." And also, when their objectives diverged, Willkie promised to provide faithful opposition and thoughtful criticism. National unity, Willkie cautioned, can only be achieved by recognizing and giving serious weight to the viewpoint of the opposition. Willkie's warning was right. It was right then. It is still relevant today. This is how I try and approach my role as a United States Senator. I find that my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, if you listen to them, they often have good ideas. And I am particularly proud of some of the partnerships I have forged during my career. So, I think of Chuck Schumer and the CHIPS and Science Act and the many Republicans and Democrats alike I worked with to get that passed. I think of Cory Booker and our important work together on retirement security. So I am grateful that we are here tonight celebrating that form of leadership. I am humbled that you would choose me as one of what we all know are many examples of those type of leaders, and I look forward to doing some good together. God bless.
Hello, everybody. All right, so it's a blessing and a curse when you're a congressperson or a senator that you get recognized in airports. I say a blessing is a curse because sometimes it's very nice. How you doing, Senator Booker? You look great, Senator Booker. Gaining some weight, Senator Booker. Sometimes it's nice. But a couple weeks ago, people here should have sent me a Mother's Day card because sometimes I get people that look at me and call me, you mother. I was on a plane not that long ago, putting my overhead baggage up. People were being really nice to me. I was feeling relieved. I sat down next to a mom and a daughter, ages 80 and 60. And they see everybody paying attention to me, but they don't recognize me. So they said something about big black guys that often is said. I don't know if you can feel me here. They're like, hey, were you a professional athlete? Now there's a part of me that wanted to be insulted, but you get me here. Most of me wanted to be able to say, well, I could have been. My ego was very flattered, so I smiled, ma'am, and I said, ma'am, I am not a professional athlete. And she's like, well, what do you do? And I said, I'm a United States Senator. And then she asks me the question that all of us get when we're out in the wild and nobody knows who we are and we tell them we're from Congress. They ask us the question, us or them. They want to know what party you're in first. And they say, the woman says to me, are you a Democrat or Republican? And I go, ma'am, I'm a Democrat. And her face suddenly looks sour. She crosses her arms. She shifts her hips away from me, looks over her shoulder and said, I should have brought my Trump hat. I know this tune. You know the tune. It's a horrible song that plays all over our country now. It's a song that even plays at our Thanksgiving dinners. It's a song of division. It's a song of us versus them. And so I look at her, and I'm not playing this record, I'm going to scratch it, and I look at her and I get very excited. I go, ma'am, Donald Trump, he signed two of the biggest bills I've ever helped to write into law. One was called the First Step Act that liberated thousands of people from unjust incarceration. And the other one was one called Opportunity Zones that got billions of dollars into the lowest income rural and urban places in our country. And suddenly she turns around and looks at me, and her look is one of confusion. By the end of that flight, we are laughing and talking, sharing stories, and most importantly, we are sharing humanity. The greatest national security threat in the United States of America is not Russia, it's not Iran, it's not one of the many terrorist organizations who are plotting right now to kill us. The greatest national security threat in the United States of America is the division we have between us in our country, is that we hate each other, is that we look at each other as the enemy when the truth of the matter is we are each other's greatest hope. We live in a nation where we talk about rugged individualism and self-reliance. Well, we all know how important those values are to teach to our children, but we also know that rugged individualism didn't beat the Nazis. We did that together. Rugged individualism didn't get us to the moon. We did that together. Rugged individualism didn't build the greatest infrastructure project America has ever seen, the Underground Railroad. We did that together. We are a nation that is at its best when we cross racial lines and religious lines and partisan lines to reaffirm the truth about our country is that we have common cause and common purpose and shared values. And so today I will tell you this, FMC, God bless you. Because I still get called mother in airports. God bless you. Because I still meet people that want to judge me first on the party I belong to and not the content of my character or the quality of my ideas. God bless this organization for in a town where we have hyper-partisanship fueled by corporations that are invested in us hating each other. Turn on any of the corporate media, any of the algorithms that we hold in our hands. The call of our country right now is for healers, for bridge builders, for people to remind us what our founders knew when they said, we the people, when they said that we need to create a more perfect union, to remind us of our common values that understand what Martin Luther King said in a jail cell in Birmingham in April of 1963, that we're all caught in an inescapable network of mutuality tied in a common garment of destiny, that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. I end with this. This is a problem that is not going to be solved by pointing fingers. It will not be solved by saying they should do this or that other party should do this. I have been guilty of it. Thank you for this award, but I will tell you this. When I got to the Senate, Bill Bradley told me the most important piece of advice I could give you is go out to lunch or dinner with all of your Republican colleagues. And I began an odyssey that was still the most valuable odyssey I've had in my 13 years in the Senate. Heck, even Ted Cruz and I went out to dinner and it was hard. Because I'm a vegan and he's from Texas, so choosing a restaurant was hard. Every meeting I had, John McCain, man, blew me away.
You never took me out to dinner.
I never took you out to dinner. I just passed legislation with you, that's all though. But I want to end with a man who just passed away recently. I couldn't get him to meet with me, but I saw he had Bible study in his office, in his hideaway, a man named Jim Inhofe. And so I said, okay, I'm not evangelical, I'm a man of deep faith, raised in a black church, but I'm going to go pray with this man. I'm going to go to his Bible study. And I go to his Bible study, and the first thing that happens to me when I walk in his room is that my implicit biases are challenged, because we all have implicit biases. My implicit bias was challenged because I walked in and I saw on his mantle a picture of him in a loving embrace with a little black girl. I didn't expect this from this right-wing white man older than me. I didn't expect that. I'm embarrassed to tell you that. And I called all my older Senate colleagues by their titles back then, and so I said, Mr. Chairman, sir, who dat? And he smiled proudly and told me this most beautiful story of his family adopting this little girl out of really tough circumstances. It was an amazing story. I was moved. Well, months later, I'm on the Senate floor. There's a bill going through the Senate that was told no amendments. We have to make those deals to hold this bill together. But I'm upset because I'm sitting in the back and I have an amendment that I really believe in. Why? Because it's my amendment. And but it was to help homeless and foster kids. And Lamar Alexander was the manager of the bill, standing on the floor, guarding from bad things to happen. But I watch Inhofe come into the Senate chamber, and I remember the story about the little girl in his office. So I get up the courage to walk down to him and say, sir, I've got this amendment. And I explain it to him, and he gives me the Senate version of no, which is, I'll think about it. And so I walk back and sit back in the back row, and all of a sudden I look up, and as if his GPS is off, he is marching into the Democratic side, walks right up to me, and he goes, you know what, Cory, I'm in. And then he turns around and starts walking away, and I'm like, sir, what do you mean? And he turns around and he goes, Cory, I'm going to co-sponsor your amendment. I then take that and I go to another senator that I'd gotten to know really well and had sat with. His name was just Chuck Grassley, and I told him that. He looks at the amendment, he goes, you've got Inhofe on this? I said, yeah. And he goes, without even talking to his staff, which we're told not to do, he goes, Cory, I'm on. Before you know it, I had a full house of just Republicans. I walked up to Lamar Alexander and I said, sir, this is not really a balanced amendment. I've got 5 Republicans and only 1 Democrat, me. Do you think this can get on the bill? Lamar started laughing and said, yes, it's the law of the land today. The call of our country is not to curse and condemn those who we disagree with. The call of our country is to find common ground with those that people presume we don't. If we do that, I promise you, in our generation, we will put more indivisible into our one nation under God. If we do that in our generation, I promise you, we will make real on the hallmark of our country that is carved into the stone that sits over the presiding officer in the world's most deliberative body. Those 3 words from a dead language that call to us today to secure our future. And that's E pluribus unum. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Senators. And we could let you filibuster. That was wonderful from both of you. We appreciate it. And last but certainly not least, we want to highlight that statesmanship certainly comes in many forms, and that is certainly true for the private sector. And FMC's work would not be possible without the support of foundations and corporate partners. And Aflac is the perfect example of that, a longtime partner and supporter of FMC, and most importantly, an entity that takes its corporate citizenship seriously. I now invite Aflac's Senior VP for Policy, Brad Knox, to join me on stage. Now, Brad, I meant to bring my little Aflac because I want to tell you, my granddaughter, when she was little, I had so many of the little Aflac guys that one of the first words she said was, Aflac.
That's right. That's right.
Because you were so kind to share those with me. So just wanted, every little kid should have those, and that will be their first word.
We pay a lot of money for that.
Yeah. So if you have, now she's 10 now, but she could have done commercials. We missed our opportunity. But Aflac is consistently listed, for that and many other reasons, as one of America's best places to work. And the company has made social responsibility part of its corporate culture. FMC is proud of its longstanding affiliation with Aflac, as exemplified by Brad Knox for many years now, having served on FMC's advisory council. We are thrilled that we can recognize Aflac's exemplary leadership on social issues, ranging from helping children with cancer and blood disorders to being good stewards of our environment and giving back to local communities. Please join me in a round of applause as we recognize Aflac's exemplary commitment to corporate responsibility with FMC's 2025 Corporate Statesmanship Award. Now, so let me give you that and let you.
Thank you.
Give you your time to filibuster.
Wow, it's really awful to have to come up here after Senator Booker. I mean,
You were a famous athlete.
I was a famous athlete, yes. And I tell people I'm on whatever the worst team is at the time. They won't look it up, but they'll believe I was an athlete. I wish he was still here. Senator Young said that this award could be given to lots of different people. I don't believe that. I believe, after listening to Senator Young and Senator Booker and Congresswoman Kim and Congressman Case, statesmanship is really needed across the entire body. and we don't have enough of them. And so I want to thank FMC for recognizing the importance of statesmanship and bipartisanship. So, now I've put on my glasses so I can read this because my team was like, are you going to read what we wrote? I'm like, I don't know. On behalf of Aflac and our CEO, Dan Amos, I want to thank the Association of Former Members of Congress and its Board of Directors for recognizing our company with the Statesmanship Award. We truly are honored. I also want to thank the members of Congress, current and former, the ambassadors and your staff that are here, corporate leaders that are here tonight. Your dedication reminds us that bipartisanship remains a vital force for advancing policies that move our country forward. At Aflac, our commitment to corporate responsibility is not just a program, it is a fundamental part of who we are. One of the clearest examples of this is our work in Japan. Since becoming the first US company to offer cancer insurance there in 1974, Aflac has grown to provide nearly 90% of all cancer policies in the country. We insure 1 out of every 4 households in the country. It is a testament to decades of trust, innovation, and community connection. Aflac's success in Japan is more than a business milestone. It reflects our mission to provide protection and hope across cultures and continents. That's why we proudly sponsor FMC's Congressional Study Group on Japan, helping US lawmakers and staff deepen their understanding of the US-Japan relationship. And while Japan has played a vital role in our growth as a company, our purpose remains just as strong here at home, where Aflac is the leading provider of supplemental health insurance. That success reflects a simple but powerful belief: to be there for families when they need us the most, especially those facing unimaginable challenges of childhood cancer and sickle cell disease. For 30 years, we've turned that belief into action, contributing nearly $200 million to the Aflac Cancer and Blood Disorder Center at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. That impact reaches far beyond the walls of the hospital. Those funds also drive critical research that benefits children and families across the country. In addition, Aflac proudly supports the Children's Miracle Network, helping ensure children's hospitals nationwide have the resources needed to deliver life-saving care to over 12 million children each year. To support the healing journey, we also created an award-winning My Special Aflac Duck. It is an innovative, cuddly, robotic companion that helps children navigate their cancer, sickle cell, or blood disorder treatment journey. Our mission at Aflac is more than supplemental insurance. It's about care, compassion, and being there when it matters most. As we look to the future, we remain committed to building bridges, lifting families, and being a force for good, wherever and whenever. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Now, thank you, Brad, and let's give one more round of applause to all of our outstanding 2025 Statesmanship Honorees. And I have one more announcement, and it's an important and exciting one. In a couple of weeks, FMC will launch its newest international program modeled on the hugely successful legislative dialogue we already are facilitating with the parliaments of Germany, Korea, Japan, and the EU. We're thrilled to share with you the creation of the Congressional Study Group on India, our 5th legislative exchange program that connects current members of Congress on a bipartisan basis with their peers in parliaments overseas. To make this work possible, we are excited to collaborate with our newest foundation partner, the Round Glass Foundation, which just awarded FMC a multi-year grant to create the Congressional Study Group on India. Round Glass is represented here tonight by its founder, philanthropist Gurpreet Sunny Singh, and please join me in a round of applause for this support and new partnership. We were delighted to get a wonderful visit last night with Mr. Singh. Thank you for being here again, and thank you for your partnership and your team, and for helping us contribute to this enormously important dialogue. We really look forward to it. Now we have a special treat for you. The museum's third floor exhibit has been kept open for you after hours, and you can enjoy dessert while experiencing the breathtaking works of talented artists from around the world. And we really appreciate the National Museum of Women in the Arts providing such an exciting and unique venue to us. So please feel free to enjoy a final glass of wine here before you make your way to the third floor. And let me thank you again for coming tonight, and for all of those who contributed and your invaluable support of the U.S. Association of Former Members of Congress. We would not be the organization we are today if it weren't for all of your commitment to our success. Thank you, and please enjoy the rest of the evening. Thanks so much.